Flip phones are making a comeback, and they have been making a comeback for the past 3 years, but I don't think it's until this year, the third generation of the Galaxy Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 3, that it's finally worth buying one. Because you have to remember, first generation products are usually pretty bad, right? Enthusiasts like me get all nerdy and sweaty and we go out and buy it, but the regular consumer usually never touches it because one, it's usually way too expensive, and number two, there's always problems, right? Z Fold 3, dust got inside, screen came off, very fragile devices. But third generation, things have changed. And the one that's more exciting to me is the Z Flip 3, because this just kind of brings back some nostalgia from my older days with the Razr flip phones, and being able to just close your phone shut is pretty darn cool. Now, as you can see, this box is kind of tiny, right? And if you spin it really fast enough, the Z looks like a triangle, probably really good for spin the bottle. But the smaller box indicates one thing only, that Samsung is not including a charger inside of here. So paperwork, SIM tool, no charger in the box, super minimal, cutting costs, saving the environment, as what they say. Now, I went with the green edition because I love the look of this. Cream is a little bit too bright for me, but this is it's a nice contrast. I just think it looks super duper cool. And when you get it for the first time, the fold, or the flip rather, is unfolded. Now, I'm gonna be very worried about this display. I know it's improved, I know they're using a better screen now, and the durability has improved, but I'm still gonna be paranoid because at the end of the day, this is a foldable display and it doesn't have that durability of a glass one you'd find on a regular smartphone. But man, there's just, something so satisfying about this, Just shutting the device. It doesn't have that same click and snap that the old Razr did, but it's still there. It's just a little more muted. Now, the edges and the aluminum alloy is about 10% bigger compared to the previous Z Flip 3. And look, a lot of people say you go buy the Z Flip to save pocket space, and you will from a vertical standpoint, right? It's half the size of a regular smartphone, but you're technically not saving pocket space because think about it, right? This phone is literally more than double the size in terms of thickness than a regular smartphone such as the iPhone 12. So in your pocket, it's not gonna be vertical, it's just gonna stick out more, but it's gonna look like it's half the size of a regular smartphone. Now, one of the most annoying things about Samsung phones in general is that in order to set it up, you have to have a SIM card inside. It won't let you use Wi-Fi. It won't let you bypass the SIM option. There needs to be a SIM, and I've always thought this was ridiculous. So if you buy one of these, make sure you have a SIM card to put inside first, or you're just not gonna be able to set it up. Now, this is one of the screens you're gonna see when you set up your flip or fold, and I think this is important because it still shows that foldables are not nearly as durable as a regular smartphone. Now, don't press the screen, it says, or the front camera lens with a hard or sharp object, such as a pen or fingernail, as it may cause damage. I think this is pretty standard for regular smartphones too. When you fold the phone, make sure there's nothing inside, okay? For one, dust could get inside the hinge and cause damage, and two, this display is significantly softer than your regular Gorilla Glass you'd find on a smartphone. The other thing to note is that this phone and the Fold 3 is finally water resistant. Water resistant, not dust resistant. So don't take this to the beach, don't drop this in sand, keep it away from anything tiny or small because it could break the hinge, get inside the display, and cause problems. Don't remove the protective film on the main screen. That's another thing. If you don't like using screen protectors, I personally don't, you have to leave this protective film on, and you can see it at the bottom and the top of the device. So that's always gonna be there. And finally, this phone contains magnets, so keep it away from credit cards, implantable medical devices, but most phones have magnets anyways. So this is exactly what you're gonna see when you log into your device for the very first time. You have Samsung's latest version of One UI. These are the apps that are pre-installed on your home screen. When you swipe to the right, you have Google Now, which is so much better than seeing Bixby. They changed this with that Galaxy S21 lineup. And the other thing is the crease. This is talked about a lot, and if the crease is going to bother you, it's a lot more present on the Z Flip 3 than it is on the Z Fold. Even when you're looking at it straight on, I can noticeably see the crease. And of course, when you move the phone side to side, it's even more apparent. The other thing to note is that this is the first time we're seeing a 120 Hertz display on one of Samsung's foldable devices, and man, it just feels great. The good news though is that it's an adaptive refresh rate. So what that means is if you're scrolling, it's going to go up to 120 Hertz, but the second you stop, the refresh rate is going to lower in order to preserve battery life. And that's important, right? Because this phone is only using a 3300 milliamp hour battery. It doesn't have a big battery. This is not a 2-day phone. This is not in a day and a half. A lot of people are probably going to struggle getting through the entire day with this device. Now you can wirelessly charge it. It's not very fast. I think it's 10 watts. You can fast charge it at 15 watts. And there's also reverse wireless charging if you need to charge your headphones like the Galaxy Buds. The display is still 1080p plus or Full HD plus. It's a gorgeous AMOLED display. I'm not disappointed it's not QHD. I still think it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's 6.7 inches, but because the phone's a bit thinner, I still find it usable in one hand, so that's good. And the brightness is absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, the pen that works on the Z Fold 3 will not work on this, so if you're planning to buy the pen to write on this display, it's not going to happen here. Now, unfortunately, there's no in-display fingerprint scanner. I would have loved to see one, but I don't think the technology is there with this type of display. You have a physical one, which is all the way at the top. It's using your power button. Now, it works well. It logs me in quickly. It's just the placement of it. I have to like drag my thumb all the way up and move the phone down in order to reach it. If you're using your left hand, it's not as bad because you can bind this finger to it, so the stretching of the finger is not as long as your thumb. But even if you just want to access the volume rocker, it's all the way at the top. And this is a very long display. Like, you really have to stretch your hand up there and move the phone all the way down. Now, this is not a big deal if you're in landscape mode because the volume rocker is super easy to get to. But like, look, you take it out of your pocket, you gotta open it up, and then you gotta stretch your finger to the top in order to let yourself log in. This is like a couple extra steps that a regular smartphone doesn't have to go through. As for the front-facing camera, it's 10 megapixels. It's not like a new front-facing camera. I think it's the same one as 2 years ago. So it's gonna take good selfies. It's not gonna be like better than the S21, but it should be pretty close. In fact, I'm looking at the images right now. It's doing a superb job with exposure. So I think most people are gonna enjoy it. I also love the fact you can kind of just put the phone like this in its flex mode, and that lets you kind of just have a conference call while you're at the table, and then you have the bottom of the screen that you can manipulate. Not a lot of apps work this way. It's mostly Samsung apps, and I doubt developers are gonna go out of their way to support this style of screen, but it's a kind of a cool idea, right? Like, you can rest it on the table, have a conference call, you know, talk to whoever you want to talk to. You don't have to lean it against an object. It's just ready to go, and I think that's kind of cool. The other cool thing is the cover camera on the back. Like, this is bigger this year, right? I think it's 1.96 compared to 1.1, something around there. I'm probably getting the display size off, but it's more interactable. It kind of reminds me of a little smartwatch on your phone, right? Like, you have all these different apps that you can add to the top display, and you can kind of scroll through it. So, you know, if you want to take a picture for yourself, you can like tap this and then, you know, change the different modes you want to use, and then you can use the cover display as a selfie camera. Like, I don't know if you guys can see this in the camera, but I can actually take a selfie and use the good cameras to see my face instead of using the selfie camera inside, which is really cool. And if you have someone you're taking a picture of, they can see themselves in the cover camera. You also get little things like notifications, so you can do triage on it, but if you want to answer any of them, you can kind of manipulate a little bit, but you still have to open up the device, which again is one more step than a regular smartphone. One of the biggest complaints with the previous Fold was that there was only one speaker that could be utilized. This year you're getting two. They're stereo, so better sound, better phone. Not as good as the S21 or S21 Ultra, but much better than before. Try to be careful with this. Always open it up with two hands because I don't want you to damage your phone. The other thing is this camera system. It's two 12 megapixel cameras. One is your regular wide lens and one is ultra wide. But these camera systems are not the same ones that are on the regular Galaxy S21. These are from a couple of years ago. They're gonna take good pictures, they're just not gonna take great pictures that you'd get on a typical 2021 flagship. So if you're buying this for the cameras, you're better off buying the regular S21 instead. So here's the hard truth. This is a cool device, and if you were to ever buy one, this would be the time to do it. I would never recommend Gen 1 and Gen 2. This is priced significantly better. It's in line with other flagships. It's a lot more durable, so I feel more comfortable using it. But make no mistake, this is not a better smartphone than the regular S21. In fact, it's a downgrade when it comes to features. The regular S21 is cheaper. The regular S21 has better battery life, better cameras, maybe even a better display. The sound quality is better. The list goes on. This is less efficient. You know, you have to take it out of your pocket, you have to unfold it, and then use the physical fingerprint scanner on the side to log you in. The buttons are all the way up. It's not as easy to use. But if you don't mind giving up some of those other things, you're getting the cool factor. That's what you're buying it for. A cool factor, the nostalgia of having something that's different and more futuristic than what we've been using for the past 7 to 8 years. And I feel like we're finally at the point where the foldables from Samsung are durable enough that I feel confident recommending. Anyways, that wraps up my first impressions and unboxing of the Z Flip 3. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.